Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Mercedes Mackay, and what a difference 24 hours makes. This time last night, snow was falling in parts of the state, and that's certainly not an issue at all tonight. And meteorologist Kraus Ortiz is here with me to take a look at the weather ahead. And are we finally seeing spring sometime this week?
I know, yes, I definitely agree that we are going to be seeing some spring this time.
I think everyone's been waiting for that. It's March already, mid-March.
But a huge difference 24 hours does make, because a lot of that snow that fell yesterday happened in a span of just a few hours, and as quickly as it came, it kind of went. We had quite a bit of some of that melting going on for today. So I wanted to share some of the photos you guys have been sending us in all day and some of that beautiful snow. And it was really nice to look at. We didn't have any impacts in terms of road conditions, so that's the best type of snow, I think, as well. So this is a photo that Angie Livingston sent to us. This is over in Cabot in Roanoke County there. We saw several inches of some snow, especially central Arkansas. So definitely not on the ground as of today, because a lot of this melting that happened. This is over in Dover in Pope County. Kevin sent us this photo. I love seeing the reflection there in that pond there of the snow. You would think it's in the middle of winter, but we're actually entering the spring season. But here's a look at the snowfall totals. Widespread 2 to 4 inches, but there's a little bit of a bullseye in central portions of the state from 4 to 6 inches. That did include portions of Pulaski County as well. So a lot of that, as I mentioned, melted with the sun angle. It was shining today and we were above freezing, so you can kind of see how fast a lot of that snow cover kind of just disappeared throughout much of the afternoon. As we are seeing right now, temperatures are pretty chilly, a lot cooler to our north and east, in the 20s and in the 30s for currently this evening, and as we go into tonight, we'll be dropping to below freezing once again. But we have a warm up around the corner, and yes, spring is going to try to make its comeback once again. A look at your forecast is coming up.
And new at 10, Little Rock police are looking for answers tonight after 2 people were involved in a homicide that happened earlier today. Authorities say the shooting happened on West 65th Street. 1 person was killed. Another victim has life-threatening injuries. Investigators have not released any information on a possible suspect. We will continue to update this story as more information becomes available. And of course, if you know anything, please call police. And meanwhile, a North Little Rock man is in jail tonight for the shooting death of another man. Police are charging this man right here on your screen, Charlie Griffin, with capital murder, aggravated robbery, and felon in possession of a firearm. According to investigators, Griffin shot 43-year-old Christopher Mortiz during a robbery in the Big D Liquor parking lot on Wednesday. Griffin is being held at the Pulaski County Detention Center on no bond. Detectives still need your help, though. If you know anyone with information regarding the shooting, you are asked to call North Little Rock Police. And sheriff deputies in Pulaski County arrested a man in connection with the homicide that happened last month. Officials say Larry Strom is charged with first-degree murder in the death of 64-year-old Donnie Balu. Reports show the homicide happened on Hudman Road in North Little Rock on February 26. The sheriff's department hasn't released a court date yet for Strom. And tonight, the Russian invasion on Ukraine continues. Russian forces are closing in on Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv. As the attacks rage on, more and more civilians are getting caught up in the fighting. Deborah Alfarone reports from the White House.
In Ukraine's southeast, Russian tanks fired at residential buildings in the port city of Mariupol. Shelling also hit near a mosque, where dozens, including children, took shelter in the strategically important city.
The tactics that Russia is now using in Ukraine is the same one as they used in Syria. This kind of tactics brings enormous civilian losses.
To the northeast in Kharkiv, residents are hiding in subway stations while Russian forces bombard the area. Kyiv awakened to air sirens, nearby explosions signaling that Russian troops are closing in on Ukraine's capital. The White House announced Saturday it's approved another $200 million in arms and equipment for Ukraine. On Friday, President Biden delivered another economic blow to Russia, saying the U.S. and its allies are revoking its most favored nation trade status.
Putin is an aggressor. He is the aggressor, and Putin must pay the price.
Washington is also banning the import of Russian goods like caviar, vodka, and diamonds. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
In a conversation Saturday with French and German leaders, the Kremlin says Russian President Vladimir Putin laid out terms for ending the war, including Ukraine's demilitarization and its ceding of territory, among other demands. And many Arkansans are still taking a stance against the invasion of Ukraine. Tomorrow, organizers will hold a candlelight prayer service for Ukraine at the First Presbyterian Church. They are hoping the offering that goes to the Presbyterian Disaster Assistance will aid families in Ukraine. The event is set to begin at 6 p.m. Electric cars, walking, we've all been thinking of ways to save on gas money. I know I definitely have. But what about a bike? Have you thought about that? Well, THV11's Ian Russell shows us how some bike shops in the area are getting ready for a potential boom in customers as those prices just continue to rise.
With gas prices so high, many of you are probably looking for ways to beat the price at the pump. So why not take a bike to work? One Little Rock bike shop tells me there's plenty of things to keep in mind if you decide to do that, including safety.
You know, I think it's close to the highest, but I think it's going to get higher and maybe be the highest it ever has been.
Richard Mackay knows a lot about bikes. 30 years in the business will do that to you.
It's just been something I've done my whole life, is ride bikes.
With that experience comes some other knowledge, other gas spikes similar to what we're seeing now.
It's concerning to everyone, I think, and it should be.
With prices so high, he's asking a simple question. Why not ride your bike to work?
COVID caused a big bike boom, but they're saying now there might be another bike boom because of gas prices. So, you know, we're keeping our eyes on that.
And Mackay knows the benefits of riding to work himself. He does it a couple times a week, but even his ride isn't perfect. It's why there are some basics he recommends if you're thinking of ditching the sedan for a couple weeks.
This light stays on steady, but what I like is to have flashing lights. That's much more visible to someone so that they see you.
Another thing to consider, you don't have to ride something difficult to use. Mackay sells plenty of e-bikes to help get over Central Arkansas's tougher hills.
That's where they shine, is on the hills. You can go fast on the flats, but the hills become easier.
So while the hope is that gas prices don't continue to climb, Mackay says they're ready if it happens. And if you're considering buying a bike yourself, he says this is the time to do it.
I think Little Rock has prime opportunity to maybe push that a little bit more than they are, although they are. But, you know, this is a good city for that.
In Little Rock, Ian Russell, THV11 News.
Have you ever wondered what country the gasoline used to fuel your car comes from? Ariana Detail with the National Verify team explains why pinning down the exact origins of gasoline might be a little tricky.
More than a week has passed since Russian armed forces invaded Ukraine. The Biden administration has since imposed several sanctions on Russia, including the country's top financial institutions. Russia's oil industry, however, has so far been spared from U.S. sanctions. Several people online are calling for boycotts of Russian-made products, including vodka and gasoline. People on social media are asking whether certain gas stations in the U.S. use oil from Russia. So, can you tell if the gas you buy at the gas station comes from Russia? Our sources are the Department of Energy, the U.S. Energy Information Administration, and Patrick DeHaan, head of petroleum analysis at GasBuddy. While the U.S. is one of the largest producers of oil, it's also one of the largest importers. Because the U.S. requires a lot more oil than it can make on its own, roughly 60% of the country's oil is imported from foreign countries. Data tallied by the Energy Information Administration shows that in 2021, the U.S. imported about 3% of its crude oil from Russia. The U.S. Energy Information Administration explains on its website that it cannot identify the specific origin of gasoline sold at gas stations. Why? Well, because crude oil and other ingredients used at refineries come from a variety of domestic and international sources. The entire process starts underground throughout various locations around the world. After crude oil is extracted and sent to refineries where it's mixed with oil from other sources, it's processed and later stored until it's ready to enter the common pipeline. A tanker truck then picks up the fuel and heads to the gas station. In an email to Verify, Patrick DeHaan, who's the head of petroleum analysis at GasBuddy, explained that it's nearly impossible to know where the gas originated from. He said, quote, "Because of all the various changes in process and refineries can purchase mixed oils together of similar quality, it's just impossible to know. So we can verify, no. You can't tell if the gas you purchase at a gas station comes from Russia. It's likely made up of crude oil sources from the U.S. and several other countries." With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
Well, we had a crazy week of weather. We started off with active severe storms last Sunday, and then we ended the week with some snow. So you're probably wondering, What changes are coming away into the new weekend? Are we going to be feeling like spring once again? I'll let you know in the forecast coming up.